Memory is the foundation for how we integrate with the rest of the world. When you feel that jeopardized and weakening, it's terrifying. It's terrifying because you don't know if it's a slippery slope that you're never going to get back on track. I first noticed my mother's decline in Alzheimer's was a Christmas, and she was about 75 years old at the time. And we went to a beautiful Christmas bazaar market, and when we got to the checkout line, she handed me, looked very confused, and she said, Susan, and she goes, what do I do with this, holding the credit card? Watching my mother be succumbed to Alzheimer's was incredibly painful. But then something else happened. Several years after my mother passed away, I started noticing that I was having some memory loss. I had a career in computer science, highly technical field, and it was also a field of which required me to have a lot of communication with the aerospace defense industry, to large project management of nuclear power plants. So when I decided to go back and work on my PhD, it was just towards the end that I started to really have some concern about memory loss. I would look down at my work and I would see that I'd misspelled words. I was forgetting how to actually type. Reading books became really difficult, where instead of it being words on page, and I was a voracious reader, I was just seeing, instead of words, I was just seeing black and white, and I couldn't interpret what that was, and I would just avoid reading. So I became extremely concerned about my own well-being, and I started to think, I probably only have 10, maybe 15 years left to live, and I was in my 50s, and thinking about the journey of my mom and how long it took her from when she was beginning those memory losses to where she could no longer walk, she could no longer talk, she could no longer feed herself. I was completely terrified. So I wrote a letter that was intended for my husband, and I gave it to one of my dear friends, and I said, please keep this letter so that when I have dementia, I want my husband, I want my children, I want all of our friends to know that I don't want my husband to go through what I watched my dad go through. This was my way of taking care of him and my way of loving him by encouraging him to go and find a partner that he could enjoy life with when I wasn't there anymore. And then life goes on, and when I had a moment when I could not remember how to write my daughter's name or my son's name, I knew I had to do something. I went to a dementia clinic and I asked them to be tested to see if I had the APOE4 variant. It was at that time that I met Dr. David Merrill at the Brain Health Center at Pacific Neuroscience Institute. And Dr. Merrill started to walk me through a process to assist me into discovering my genetics, and it did end up that I have a APOE4 gene, just one of them, so I have a 3-4 combination. And I have a 30% likelihood of getting Alzheimer's, which is a huge risk. So when I started working with Dr. Merrill, he had me tested, and it ended up that I was running short on my hormones, and it was impacting my memory. He put me on some new supplements. Dr. Merrill encouraged me to get out and exercise, and the staff at PNI were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, who come in and assist with the emotional component and physical activity at their CogFit lab, teaching me about the incredible importance of complex physical movement in order to not only save my neurons from cell death, but also to promote new growth and promote new synaptic connections. My life has changed so much since starting to work with Dr. Merrill. He's given me tremendous hope, and I don't think I will need that letter that I had written. This past year has been life-changing, completely life-changing for me. I'm going out. I choose to walk for the health of my brain. I choose to breathe hard to oxygenate my neurons. I choose to sleep. I'm making choices because I know each are increasing the longevity of my brain.